hello everybody, and welcome to the Mirror and Get Allstate Insurance Postgame Show, where the Weslaco Wildcats just went 21-18 in a dramatic game, Coach, because Richard Lefevre did not run with the ball in that first half because it looked like he was nursing an injury. But in that second half, what a performance by him!
Yeah, he went in the locker room and said, "The heck with his knee." He wanted to win, you know. So I mean, the doc checked it out. He thinks it's okay. We're gonna go check it out here. But his dad told me, "Run him." Well, I'm gonna run him. He's a load.
Coach, tell me a little bit about the emotion you had right now, because you went up into this crowd, and this crowd was yelling and screaming for you because you're going to the third round now. What is it, the fifth time in school history?
I believe so. I think it's 5 out of the last 8 years. Is correct.
Hey, Coach, what were your emotions like when that fourth down play, JC was so close to capturing that touchdown pass to clinch the game? I saw you kind of down like this. I hadn't seen you like that since our post-game show in Weslaco middle season.
We sort of been snake bit this year, and I'm thinking, damn, here we go again. But you know, I mean, the corner came off. I would have told Bones to run it out or something. The corner wouldn't have been embarrassed. It was a bad call, but I mean, JC, you see what JC's come back and done for this team, and you know, we're gonna get better. We can play still again.
How do you feel about that, Coach?
I ain't gonna comment on that. I haven't seen him.
Coach, tell me a little bit about some of the in-game type of adjustments that you had to make, because just like last week, the opposing team came out and they scored in their first possession.
I didn't make the adjustments at halftime. Jesse Trevino, my offense coordinator, and Jeff Lefevre and Coach Brown and Raymond Martinez and Sergio Martinez said, "Coach, instead of running the counter, we need to start basing it." So that end that was giving us trouble, we based out and we went inside him. And I got to give them guys credit. Sometimes I tell them they don't coach, but you all know better than that.
Now this year, going to the third round of the playoffs, after losing Pedraza, after losing JC, Richard had to go out for a whole series. Is this one probably more sweeter than anyone you've had to go through?
This is definitely the best, and our coaching staff and our kids will tell you that. Those young kids that's playing right now, they're going to the third round. They're playing one of the best in the state. So, you know, I'm real proud of Weslaco East. I've always been, you know, since I got there. Mondo Cuer, like I said, did a great job of getting the football kicked off, and all he did was hand me the torch. And, you know, I'm trying to carry it the best I can, and the coaches are, and the kids. I mean, what a year we've had, but we ain't done yet. We're going to that third round.
That's right, Coach. Tell us about that interception by Freddie Cottle. That was probably the play of the game, would you say?
Oh, man. You know what? Our coaches have been telling me that number 8 is tough. He's got 800 yards. We know he's going to do a curl. Right. So we tried to get in there, and Freddie finally got in there and had a pick, and I thought he was going to return it because he's a heck of an athlete.
All right, Coach. We'll let you go talk to your team. Thank you very much.
Congratulations, Coach.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, well, once again, we're here for the Miriam Guetta Allstate Insurance post-game show, and what a game, Mike, because, you know, Alexander gave them all that they had. You know, they were a 6-5 team, 5-5 last, week before they went into that road game, but Laredo Alexander, they got a heck of a team, and this was a great ball game.
I would say, Carlos, this is probably the fastest team as far as the way they run the offense that Weslaco East has seen all year long. It was an up-tempo kind of offense. I mean, shoot, after one play, it seemed like they were already on the line of scrimmage ready to call the next play. And I mean, the Weslaco East Wildcat defense had their work cut out for them. They really had to line up as quick as possible. I'm sure the coaches knew that, but a great job by the Bulldogs to start the game, to jump ahead of the Wildcats right there, and then you know, just they were able to make, as always, adjustments in the second half to slow them down.
All right, let's go ahead and go to the highlights. We do have first half highlights for you in this football game, so we can go to those highlights, and let's go to them now, because coming out, and yes, it was Richard Lefevre, Gerald Garza as captains. As we go to the highlights, and it was actually the Bulldogs scoring first. Albert Raulel scores first to make the Bulldogs, put the Bulldogs up 7-0. Richard goes down with a leg injury in that first quarter, and so we weren't sure what was going to happen, but JC came in. You know, they run a lot of Wildcat with JC. He leads the team down for a score. And then after an interception, a 35-yard field goal by Laredo Alexander, and they were up 10-7 in the game in the third quarter. And then Weslaco East, they were down 10-7. Actually, was Weslaco East at the half, but they come back and they win it by a final score once again of 21-18. And Freddie Cottle, once again, he came up with a big interception because Weslaco East needed to come back in that. Right. They needed to stop. They got it, and that led to a score.
Yeah, exactly, Carlos. Just like last week, we needed the defense to make a play, and Alvaro Madrano came right before the first half ended. And then tonight, it was Freddie Cottle with an outstanding job. Read the play, got in front of the ball, got the interception, had a heck of a return, and that set up the that set up another score by J.C. Vargas in that third. I think the Wildcats won this game, Carlos, in the third quarter. They began that quarter with a 12-play drive, 72 yards that chewed up over 5 minutes, led by Richard Lefevre.
Well, in that third quarter, they come out in the opening possession, and we weren't sure about Richard because he didn't run the ball, if he did any, in that first half.
He had only one carry.
In the third quarter, he came out, and they drove down the field, and he must have carried the ball about 80% of the time in that drive. There was, I think, one play that JC had for about 15 yards.
21 yards is what they had. They had about the 28. JC got 21, got it at the 7, and Richard Lefevre did the rest. Let's see here. We can count real quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 carries in that drive, Carlos. Most of it by Richard Lefevre. And again, he only had one carry in that first half, of course, because he sustained that little knee injury. Didn't know how severe it was, but he told me, Carlos, that he was okay. He was okay. They put a brace on it. They taped it up. He was good to go. But then I saw him in the warm-ups, Carlos, off the shotgun. They gave him the ball, and he was running. So I think he, like Coach Burgett said, I think he convinced Coach Burgett, like, just let me run with the ball. I'm fine. And I think he proved it tonight. Once again, an MVP-like caliber performance. Yeah,
and it was definitely an injury where we weren't sure what was going to happen. He stayed out for a whole series. They taped him up. They worked him here down on the sideline for a little bit, and then he was able to go in there. And like I said, in that third quarter opening possession, that's where they go up 14-10. And then Alexander gets the ball back. Cardenas comes up with that interception, and that led to another score, and that made it 21-10 as J.C. Vargas scored a couple of touchdowns.
Yeah, exactly, Carlos. And I mean, when Richard went out of the game, who took over? J.C. Vargas took over, and as a matter of fact, the Wildcats scored a touchdown without Richard Lefevre in there by J.C. Vargas, so great job there.
All right, so right now you're watching some of the Wildcats who are coming out here for the Alma Mater. A victory for the Weslaco East Wildcats. They move on to the third round of the playoffs, 5th time now for them. 21-18 was the final score here at United ISD Stadium. And let's go ahead and listen a little bit to the Alma Mater here at the stadium. All right, so we're over here now with Freddie Cottle, linebacker for Weslaco. What do you have, 143 tackles or something like that coming into this game? But how big that interception that you made, because at that point it was only 14-10 Weslaco East, but after that interception and the touchdown made it 21-10.
It wouldn't have happened without the pressure of the D-line, the good coverage of everybody, and we have great coaches that taught me well to stay there in the pocket.
We got everyone
Let's see the fans right here.
So how does it feel to have everyone here supporting you, supporting Weslaco East, the whole team here?
We're a family here at Weslaco East, and I love every single player here.
Freddie, what about that drive that Laredo had, the very last drive they had? You know, it looked like we were going to score at the very end, but a 4th down, it didn't work out. You guys had to step up. What was the mindset?
The mindset is always out-hit them. And if we punish them, they'll fold. And they started to fold, and they unfolded, but we had to step over game, and that's what we did.
All right, let's move over here to Richard Lefevre. Thank you very much, Freddie. Congratulations. Good game. And we'll go ahead and move it along here. And
MVP.
We got Richard Lefevre over here. Tell me a little bit about how that knee's doing.
Knee feels great, 100%. It wouldn't be any better if it wasn't for my line.
Tell me a little bit about what happened with that injury. Did someone step on you or anything? They hit you low?
Nah, they went for my knee. They hit me low, and it just got a little shooken up, but it's all good now.
Hey, Richard, but I mean, it seemed like to me in the second half you were okay with it. I mean, What'd you tell Coach Brigette? Because according to him, you went to go talk to him and told him some stuff. Well, I mean, how did that go?
He was, I just went up to him and said, Coach, you use me as much as you want. Use me whenever you want or however you want, Coach. I'm good to go 100%. I'm going to do what I have to do to get this, help us get to the next level.
You guys are going to the third round for the 5th time in 8 years. That means the 5th time this decade. What does it mean for the school?
Oh, there was a lot of doubt in us this year, as you can tell, as injuries went down. But our guys made the comebacks, and we kept our heads up, and we kept pushing. And then we're just trying to put this town on the map so everybody knows that, we got athletes and we're the real deal down at Weslaco East.
You guys are like the road warriors. You guys have to have your big wins on the road. Tonight, last week at PSGA, and then all this started probably in Harlingen, right? Just tell us about that, playing on the road.
It's kind of like playing on the road too. When we go to Weslaco High, even though it's home, because we don't really get to practice there. So it's kind of playing on the road there too, But it was just a matter of growing up, and it was time to wake up, backs against the wall, and hey, we got to roll, we got to go with it now.
So in that third quarter, you guys were down actually 10-7 at the half. And in the opening possession of that third quarter, I think you got the ball maybe 80% of the time on that drive.
Yes, sir. But we wouldn't be able to get down the field unless it wasn't for the guys in the backfield blocking. They did a heck of a job blocking. You miss some, you make mistakes, right? It's full of life, But they did a heck of a job of getting in there, making the blocks, driving the guys out, and creating holes.
Now, they knew you were going to handle the football a lot tonight. You've been doing that since the Los Fresnos game. So did you feel like they were coming after you a little bit more, and they knew that you were going to be running towards them?
Oh, yes, sir. I knew that. They started pinching inside and coming in and coming and submarining our alignment, and I kind of knew that, they're going to keep us from running straight down the middle and everything. But, it goes and works, but our line just did a heck of a job of getting them out of the way, even though they were submarining them, getting them out of the way, and our fullbacks were getting a good job of getting the linebackers out of there.
All right, Richard.
Hey, Richard, you guys, the defense made a stop. You guys got the ball back at the 45-yard line with, a minute and some left. What was going through y'all's minds to seal this win?
If we would have scored one more time, maybe it would have been a different ball game, But these guys played a heck of a game. Alexander, they have a lot of heart. And when it was going through my head, we got to control the ball, got to maintain it, and run out the clock, chew the clock to make sure nothing else happens.
All right, Richard, we'll go ahead and let you go. I know there's a lot of people here that want to see Richard Lefevre, so we'll let you go. Congratulations. Yes, we'll see you in San Antonio next week.
Yeah, congratulations, Richard.
You guys are road warriors, and so are we. Because it'll be another road game. We're not sure exactly now where this game is going to take place. They will be taking on Cibolo Steel because they won earlier tonight. They beat Vandergrift. And so on the road, there's talk maybe it'll be at the Alamo Dome. Friday or Saturday, they're still not sure. But let's talk a little bit more about this game and the gutsy performance, not only of Richard Lefevre, of course, but that defensive line kept after it. And then also J.C. Cottle, who's been playing. He's not 100%. Right. It's kind of cold out here. It's got to be in 50 degrees or so. Yeah. And so J.C. had to come out here, and he also had a gutsy performance. He scored 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, Carlos, and as a matter of fact, he led everybody in rushing with 128 yards. The last 15 he got is probably the sweetest 15 yards that he'll ever have. And just as you mentioned, the D-line with an outstanding job. Keep in mind, they had to prepare for 2 quarterbacks, and that wasn't easy to do. And they just did an outstanding job. For them to slow down, 2 of the premier quarterbacks in the area last week with Trey Guajardo, that says a lot about the unit.
And the defense came in prepared, like I was talking to Richard about earlier. They knew he was going to run with the football, and they were coming after him, and they were attacking him, and I think they were trying to hit him low, because when you're 6'4", right, you got to hit him low. You want to bring him down, and that may have been why he sustained that injury. Because
tackling a guy like him is not very easy. Most of the time the coaches will say to wrap him, but a guy like him, you do have to go for the ankles to slow him down. And the same thing for J.C. Vargas. It seemed like they were prepared to slow down J.C. Vargas in the inside. So, once he got his runs going through the outside, then after that, the Wildcats were just pretty unstoppable.
And if you take a look at the size of Laredo Alexander, they were pretty big. They weren't small, undersized type of players. They were a little bit younger, I think, at the quarterback position and the running back position, right, as far as underclassmen are concerned, but they had some pretty big size. So the offensive line, you got to give them a lot of credit for Weslaco East, as they did a good job of helping Richard get those yards. It's not just all Richard, but that offensive line as well.
And it's on both sides. As throughout the season, the defense had to guess which way he was going, and he was able to get those yards. Anyway, he won it. And I mean, Laredo, as you mentioned, had pretty good size. They had a pretty good size receiver. They had a guy that was fast, and what was it, number 8, and then number 10. I believe that was the young man's name real here, Leo Garza. I mean, he was probably like 6'1", 6'2", and very physical. And so, yeah, Laredo had some big boys out there, but the Wildcats, as always, step up to the occasion.
And so now here we go. Weslaco for the 5th time in school history going on to the next round of the playoffs, to the 3rd round of the playoffs. Vela, I know, we're going on to the next round of the playoffs. Not sure how San Benito Memorial did, but that game was taking place as well. But now you take a look at what Weslaco East has done here over the past 10, 11 years.
Yeah.
Like, Coach Brigette has been there. Coach Gued was there as well. And they have to be now thought of as one of the top teams in the Rio Grande Valley, like we talked about during the pregame show.
You can make an argument that this is a program for team of the decade. I mean, I know we're only in 2017 right now, but they've made the playoffs every year since 2007, and they didn't get their first playoff win until 2010. And guess what happened in 2010? They went 3 deep, played Cedar Park, and then what happened? The next year they won district again, went 3 deep again. Then they won district championship in 2012, first year as a Class 5A. 2013 made the playoffs, lost in the first round. 2014 made the playoffs and went 3 deep. In 2015, we're this close to making it 3 deep, and then last year and this year now going 3 deep again. So now what's happened, Carlos, is that now they're accustomed to going this far, and it's kind of they're expected to go this far now. And I mean, throughout all the injuries and through all the conflicts and all the problems they have had to go through on and off the field, with personal problems and everything, here they are. 3rd round against Cibolo Steel again.
Yeah, give a lot of credit to the coaching staff, for keeping this team together, because the injuries were just something that you wouldn't imagine for a high school football team. But once again, they're moving on. Taking on Cibolo Steel, going to be a tough opponent. It always is. We're taking on those San Antonio schools. Cibolo Steel is probably one of the top teams from the San Antonio area. So keep tuned to our Facebook page, KWES, and we'll have more details on the playoff for next week, either Friday or Saturday against Cibolo Steel. All right, for Mike Gonzalez, I'm Carlos Chabot. For everyone here at KWES, thank you for joining us here on the Miriam Guerra Allstate Insurance postgame show. Final score, Weslaco wins it 21-18.